I was on a stream a little while ago, and we were talking across ideological lines. It was, if I remember correctly, it was me, Chrisiosity, and Mike Rowlands talking with Jeff Holiday, Bunty King, and that girl. It was a very productive conversation. I think that we touched upon, it was a little while ago, but it did help me to realize where the difference is between, there's a conflict between skeptics and the alt-right. And there's a conflict between skeptics and social justice advocates. And you know, what I learned from that conversation is that these conflicts are different in terms of, the skeptics seem to have an issue with the alt-right. Even if Sargon doesn't want to admit this, I think that skeptics have an issue with the alt-right that goes beyond language and goes beyond feeling. When I see someone like Jeff disagreeing with someone on the alt-right, when I see, you know, where the static is, it is very fundamental. Someone on the alt-right is talking about what people do, not about what people say or how people say things. So when someone on the alt-right criticizes Kraut or Jeff or somebody in the skeptic community, usually it's based on what someone else is doing. They use this term degeneracy to refer to some of the more liberal skeptics defending homosexuality or other forms of degeneracy, like recreational drug use and stuff like that. Whereas when there's static between the skeptics, particularly the left-leaning skeptics, there are right-leaning skeptics like Naked Ape, there's substantial problems there. But there are left-leaning skeptics, and when left-leaning skeptics and SJWs, social justice lefties disagree, usually it's about use of language and the implications of language and the ramifications of feeling, and whether or not feeling is clouding someone's judgment. I think that that's still an important disagreement. I think that language is not without implication. I think that Bunty was online talking about something on Twitter. And I like Bunty King. He's all right. I don't agree with Bunty on certain things politically, but I think Bunty means well. I think that he's a good faith skeptic. He was saying something about that a YouTuber who had apologized for casually using a racial slur should not have felt pressure to apologize. And Ian Miles Chong was on this stream of this YouTuber not apologizing for casual use of the word nigger. And Bunty's case was that the word nigger is history. That the only power that nigger has in modern American society is given by the people who take offense, not by the people who actually say the word. That's the understanding that I took from what he said. That's my interpretation of what he said. So I'm going to use that interpretation to sort of. This isn't a video response to Bunty, but I'm going to use Bunty's argument because I've seen different iterations of that argument used within the skeptic community. I've seen different iterations of that argument used by free speech maximalists. So it to me it's too facile. It's too facile to say that offense is. What's that? Hold on a second. Good. to me, it's too facile to say that people shouldn't be offended by something, or people should not feel a certain way by a word that you haven't lived under. If you haven't lived under the word faggot, if you have not lived under the word nigger, if you have not, and not just literally people saying it every day, but I think these hateful terms, kike, nigger, faggot, they can permeate a culture. There's the specter of hatred. There is in each little microaggression, in each little act, each small act of discrimination against a black person contains the essence of the word nigger. You don't have to say it to express nigger to a black person. The point of the word nigger is to make a black person feel less, whether it's taking extra time at a traffic stop or a cop being extra rough during an arrest. The specter of the word nigger permeates that discrimination, that marginalization, that making of a person less than. And the same thing with the word faggot. When someone, a taxi driver, for example, I remember when I was younger, me and my boyfriend were trying to take a cab ride home from Midtown, and it was about 2 a.m, and we were having a difficult time just getting a cab because of we were an obviously gay couple, and some of the immigrant cab drivers obviously had come from third world conservative societies that they were expressing obvious repulsion when not allowing. And these are yellow cabs; these were public cabs; these weren't private cars, which are not, by law, the yellow cabs in New York cannot discriminate on who they take. Some of the limousine services, I guess, can. The driver makes more factor decisions. But my point is that words they don't occur in a vacuum. And just because someone does not express something explicitly does not actually mean, it's like aggression versus passive aggression. Sometimes people can be more brutal in environments where they use passive aggression to express something. Like the Fox News dog whistling thing. By switching over from blatant racism to coded racism, you can definitely be more racist. By switching over from blatant sexism into coded sexism, you can definitely be more sexist. And so forth. So I just want... look... Disagreeing with someone about language may not seem like the most radical disagreement, but you have to always factor in how language affects psychology. That's the domino effect. It seems like words don't matter until you, and this is based on science. This is not about feelings in a vacuum. This is the fact that feelings, based on psychology, based on research, feelings eventually lead to actions. Feelings don't, that's my contribution to the feelings debate. Whenever someone talks to you about feelings, remember that feelings do not stand alone. From the Jeremy Joseph Christian murder on the subway, the Portland subway stabber who was harassing those young girls, those 2 Muslim girls, and then the 2 guys that were riding the train got stabbed. Hate doesn't remain as an idea or as a thought or as a word. Hatred eventually, if it's allowed to flower, if it is allowed to metastasize, if it remains unchallenged, meaning that people don't talk back to hate, verbally, morally confront hate, this cancer of hateful ideas eventually metastasizes into either personal action, political action, and even political action, meaning people voting their hateful sentiment. For example, Islamophobia in Europe, right? People who vote their Islamophobia are going to support politicians who then have very extreme reactionary positions about immigration. So these feelings, this sentiment, then becomes like a concession of power, right? Of political power, and then it's transformed into action. So words are relevant. Words are a precursor. They are a prelude to real action and real harm to people in the everyday world. And that's why we need to be as careful with words as we are with any other harmful tool, like a gun or a knife. You shouldn't wield it wildly, because words don't just disappear into the ether. They do become flesh.